Life, mission log number 219.
All she told me all the time was to absolutely love myself. Because I remember one day she said, you are longing for a mother, you are longing not to be beaten, you are longing for more people to love you. But I will tell you, nobody can love you the way you can love yourself. So love yourself and everything will follow.
Welcome to Stellar Life Podcast. Get inspired and live out loud. From love, freedom, and success to having it all. Here's your host, coach, speaker, and shining star, Orion.
Roger, you're looking good.
Hello and welcome to Stellar Life Podcast. This is your host, Orion. Super excited about today's guest. She is amazing. She's 76. She's full of life. She's full of joy. And she's been through so much in her life. And so we spoke about her life story and how to take some of her life lessons and implement them in today's world. And she's just, oh my God, blew my mind. Amazing woman. So grateful I had this conversation with her. Maria Nhambu, born in Tanzania, East Africa. She was raised by German nuns at an orphanage for mixed-race children. Throughout the hardship and mixed blessings of her childhood, Nhambu sustained her spirit through dance and kept alive her dream of further education. She was able to fulfill that dream in the United States, where she attended college, became a teacher, and eventually married and raised 2 children. This bio doesn't give you it's not even the tip of the iceberg of what this woman's been through and how incredibly fascinating she is. And what's the most empowering thing is just to see her heart, to feel her heart, to listen to the way she views life. She's such an elevated soul and she's so beautiful from the inside out. And I'm sure you're going to really enjoy this episode. And now, without further ado, on to the show.
2, 1, 0.
Hi, Maria, and welcome to Stellar Life Podcast. It's a joy having you here. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much.
Maria, you are such a unique person with such an extraordinary story. You're an author. You're bright and you're beautiful. And you're such a light in the world. I did record an intro and people know your bio, but can you please tell me in your own words a little bit about yourself and your passion?
Yes. I always have to begin from the beginning in that I always say I was born and raised in an orphanage. Well, I was raised in an orphanage in Africa for mixed race children, or we were also called unwanted children. And we were also called children of sin. So we were not accepted very much in the African society. And also the white people, for the most part, the fathers who fathered us didn't even acknowledge us. So we were ostracized and we had a very tough time. And this was it at that time in my country, which was called Tanganyika. Now it is Tanzania. So there was an order of German nuns, the Precious Blood Sisters, the Catholic order, felt sorry and bad for us. So they built an orphanage for us. So children came from all over the country over there because we were accepted and the nuns took care of us. When the children came from all over, they came with every age and from every age, some were 2, some were 0, some were 10, some 15, some 19, all the age range came over there so that the older girls, all the orphans who came from other parts of the country, because finally there was a place where we were accepted, the older girls, the older orphans, whom we called the big girls, took care of the little girls. Well, I was brought there when I was only 3 days old.
Can't even imagine.
My entire life was in the orphanage. And it seemed also like my entire life was trying to find a way or trying to find out who I was, why I was there, and how to get away from the orphanage.
So from what I know a little bit about you, growing up in this orphanage, it was mixed because there was some abuse, but you got really good education. What was it like?
Well, yes, there was really a little bit of both, and there was abuse, most of it from the older orphans who took care of the little orphans. They just beat us all the time, I think, because they were frustrated. We had to work very, very hard. We were also often abused, I think, mostly verbally and psychologically and emotionally by some of the nuns, the ones who always called us unwanted children and children of sin and black devils. And,
oh my God.
And then also we were beaten quite often whenever, as children we misbehaved or we didn't do something right. For discipline, we were usually beaten with a cane or with blows or with whatever. So we were always afraid. I remember I was always afraid, trying my best to be good. So I was not beaten for not kneeling perfectly at church. So life was really difficult. And I remember we were fed well, but we were always hungry, and it was up in the mountains, and we were always cold. Yet there were so many wonderful people from all over the world, but for us, mostly from Germany, who brought boxes. There's a chapter in my book I call about boxes from Germany. They donated clothes and everything to help the orphans in Africa. And I'm in America now, and I see all these organizations collecting clothes to send to the poor people, whether it's here, whether it's in Africa. I was on the receiving end of that, and it is really very difficult to look at both sides, to be now where I am now in a position when I can help, where I can send stuff, and also to help the people here understand what it is like to be on the other end, on the receiving end of their generosity, at the same time also recognizing our poverty and our need.
So what was it like for you to receive those boxes? Because I didn't grow up in an orphanage, but my childhood was, it was pretty difficult, but very different than yours. I grew up in Israel, and I used to get hand-me-down clothes. My mom would show up with a bag, and when I got it, I was super excited because I was like, I can't believe people are giving away this. This is awesome.
Yeah. Exactly the same for us. We were just thrilled, but it was like once a year around Christmas time. Now, this was the Catholic orphanage, so that they, of course, celebrated Christmas, and Christmas was very special. It was made special by those boxes, Those boxes came in, and we were called, and we each had to pick one dress or one pair of shoes that fit from the box. And that would be your one dress, more or less, for the year.
Wow.
So it was a very, very exciting time to go to get something from the boxes of Germany. We always picked shoes that were really big, so we stuffed them with leaves or whatever we could find so that they would last the whole year because our little feet would grow. So it was always, we were very, very excited to receive those. And we always used to pray. Once the boxes from Germany came, we went to pray for all the benefactors and all the people who donated to us.
Oh my God. Wow. Goosebumps. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So you said there was food, but you were always hungry. And you specifically you had an obsession with food, and they called you Fat Marie.
Fat Mary.
Yeah,
it was
sorry.
Just Mary. Yeah, my name was Fat. Whenever we were brought there, very often kids were brought there when they were really young. And of course, the first thing the nuns had to do was to baptize us, so in case we died, we go to heaven.
Huh? You black devil kids will go to heaven. I'm like, I just...
Absolutely.
Let's talk about that later. Yeah, but it's crazy.
Yeah. So I was called Mary. It was pretty much a generic name. Every other person I kind of know was called some kind of Mary. So I was Mary, and because I was just plain old Mary. And then I was fat. I was really obsessed with food. And now I'm just thinking in my more adult mind, and I'm thinking why I was so obsessed with food. But for me, food was really a way of consoling myself. And I ate everything. We were given the food 3 times a day we ate. And the food was not special, but it was good. It was nourishing for us. It was very simple. But I would always go and search for food. I would walk around, if I would find a banana peel that somebody has stepped on or dry or whatever, I would remove the sand or the soil, and I would just eat it. I would pick anything that looked edible from anywhere, and I would eat it. And I think I was just trying to fill myself, to comfort myself, because I was very much alone. And I used to hate when they called me Fat Mary, and the nuns called me Fat Mary, and the kids called me Fat Mary. And I used to cry every time they called me Fat Mary, until one day, I don't know what happened and how I came to this idea. I decided I would not let the word or the name Fat Mary be a bad name for me. I took the word Fat Mary, and I decided Fat Mary was really me. And I would make Fat Mary my friend. She was like my twin. I made her into my consoler and my counselor. Whenever anybody said Fat Mary, I just kind of saw my image of me. And I decided I was going to like me, and I was going to love Fat Mary, and I would talk to Fat Mary, and she would help me analyze everything. And in the end, she became my counselor, my consoler, my closest friend. So I was able to take that and turn it around. As an adult now, I look back and I have no idea how or why, how I came to that conclusion. But I recognize that that's really what saved me. I learned to look within me for the solution to my situation, because I had no one out there. I had no mother, no father, no uncle, no aunt, no brother, nobody. And I felt very often that nobody loved me, that I was all alone. So with Fat Mary, at least I had someone who loved me. And I loved that. And once I discovered that, I was so excited. I realized it didn't make a difference to anybody, whether I lived or whether I died. But with Fat Mary, I realized it made a difference to me and to us. So I wanted to live, because now I had me, I and myself, in the embodiment of Fat Mary. And I started to talk to her and to help her help me, and to realize that I was not alone. And from that, I really learned to love myself. I really loved myself, even though I knew for a fact no one out there loved me. I loved myself because I had Fat Mary.
Oh my God. You're telling the story and I'm getting emotional because I'm a new mom and I have he's almost 7 months.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. And babies, they need so much love. They need so much attention. I can't even imagine how a 3-day-old baby was treated in this orphanage and then being raised by the older kids and then having this incredible inner guidance to create peace within your own self, to fall in love with you and to make you your best friend. And in this time in the world, people are experiencing loneliness and they don't know how to become their best friend. They don't know how to create this inner version, how to connect to themselves, how to trust their inner intuition and inner guidance. And what you did was just beyond brilliant.
I have thought about it, until I wrote my book and someone pointed that out and said, I don't understand how you could at that age, at such a young age. I think I was 4 or 5 when I decided that I had to love myself, until someone pointed it out and said that was really smart. That was brilliant. It never occurred to me it was brilliant. It was just a survival thing. When somebody said that, I said, whoa, well, okay. And they asked me, how did you do that? I'm just saying I did it by necessity. I had no choice. If I didn't do it, I would die. And I wanted to live.
And what kind of conversations did you have with her?
The conversations I had with Fat Mary was everyday conversations. When my big girl, each one was assigned a big girl to take care of the little girls. When my big girl happened to be extremely cruel. When she would beat me, when she would demand I do different things. And when she called me all these names and all, I would always go to Fat Mary, and I would just, Fat Mary, like I say, it was me, but I had a special place I wanted to go and talk with her. So I would hide behind the statue of like Blessed Martin, or who was our patron saint, because she too was mixed race. She was a saint, I think, from Lima, Peru. And she was like our patron saint. So I would go behind his statue, which was made of cement. And I would sit there and I would talk to Fat Mary. But a lot of the things I talked to Fat Mary are the same things I talked about. I talked to her a lot about my longings, about what I wanted. I really, really wanted a mother.
Wow.
Because other children at the orphanage, it was not 100% orphanage. Not everybody there was an orphan, because we were ostracized from the society, the African society in general. Even, couples who were mixed race, who were biracial, who wanted and loved their children were also discriminated against in the society. So whether they loved their kids or whether they were legally married or not, and there were many of those, when the school opened, all of them took advantage and sent their kids to this place where we were accepted, so to speak. So it was difficult because very often these children who had parents, either one parent or two parents who could bring them, who could afford them, who kept them and who brought them, who wanted them, they would bring them gifts. They would come and visit them, and then they would go home for the holidays, and we would just stay home. So I was always looking down, looking at the road. There was a mile-long road with cypress trees on either side, very beautiful. And there would be one lone car, maybe one car every 2 or 3 weeks. It was out in the boondocks. When the car came, we all stood up and watched the car, and everybody was hoping somebody in the car would be for them. But I realized that I would never have, no one would ever come for me. Ugh. But I still stopped and looked at the car. So those are the things I'll talk to Fat Mary. I would ask Fat Mary, I want somebody to come in the car to visit me or to come and take me away. And I would ask her all sorts of questions. Why didn't my parents want me? Why didn't my mother want me? My whole life, I always remember only looking for my mother. I never really, as a child, even thought of a father, because I think most of the children who were there, it is their mothers who came, their African mothers who came to visit them. Once in a blue moon, there was a child whose both parents would come, the white one and the black one. But for the most part, so I just felt that I needed a mother. So whenever I felt alone and I felt the things that I wanted, I would talk to Fat Mary.
What did she tell you about why don't I have a mother, or why did she leave me? What kind of answers did you get?
She always told me that for now I was fine, that I had everything I needed that a mother could give me. And I believed in it. All she told me all the time was to absolutely love myself. Because I remember one day she said, you are longing for a mother. You are longing not to be beaten. You are longing for more people to love you. But I will tell you, nobody can love you the way you can love yourself. So love yourself and everything will follow. And to tell you the truth, the older I got, and even now, I'm 76 years old.
Wow.
I still find that was the lesson that helped me survive. That is the lesson we all need, be it right now during the coronavirus when so much is going on and where many people are feeling lonely and alone and like the whole world is kind of pulling away from them. I just want to tell them all, just like I keep telling myself, I have everything I need right here. I have love. And I survived terrible circumstances, traumatic physical circumstances as a child. But I had love, and we all really have love, but we have to take that love or look at the love, and it has to begin with ourselves. If you truly, truly love yourself, you will be gentle with yourself. You won't judge what's happening out in the whole wide world as it's a reflection on you, or you are going to be punished. You just say, this happens, but it's happening out there. I'm a part of it. I'm a part of the world. I'm very, very concerned. But the bottom line is I truly love myself. And whenever I can, however I can, I will share this love with others, and will hopefully give us some peace during this time. That love endures.
Albert Einstein sent letters to his daughters, and he was asking her to publish them 20 years after he died. And in one of them, he told her, I discovered that the stronger force in the world is love. And I am asking you to share it only 20 years in the future because much of my thinking is something people right now cannot conceive. And I think, especially during this time, love is the strongest power.
It is.
Love, kindness to our community, self-love. It is the biggest force, love for Mother Earth. Love is the force that can save us.
Absolutely. And that says it all. That's what and how and the force we were brought into this world. And it is what will keep us together, what opens up everything else. Truly, without that, it is hard to live a good, fulfilled life. What I found very often, we are never taught or we don't know how to love ourselves. We just feel that in the name of consideration and we shouldn't be so selfish. We shouldn't just say, I should take this for myself. I should do this. We should love. We should give. We should be out there. And I find many people will do lots of charity and do lots of work with other people and love and support them. But then they go home to an empty self and they try to give something. I always say you really cannot give what you do not have. And we would be able to give so much more love if we actually knew and felt and experienced the self-love, not the selfish self-love, but the true self-love that is so necessary to survive and to be able to give love to the world and to others.
Do you still have conversation with Fat Mary?
Yes, as old as I am.
You do?
Yes, because...
What did she tell you about the coronavirus?
Well, Fat Mary is me.
Yeah.
Fat Mary and me, she was not an imaginary friend. Yeah. I never played with her. We never had, we never had little play sessions. It was always very, very serious. It was always issues that were in my mind, that in my being, that I had no one to discuss with, or no one could understand it from my level. So with the coronavirus going on, I talked to Fat Mary, and I really believe she is telling me that this is a really, really special time. This is a special time to realize, to look again, to go deep within me again and try to pick out, in case I don't spend that much time, what is important in life. What is important in life are people. People all over the world, and especially at this point, it is magnified 1 million times because everyone in the whole wide world is more or less experiencing this, whether you call it fear. I don't even call it fear. I call it grief. I call it grief of people around the world losing loved ones, the grief of loss, of losing people. And we are all experiencing that, and we are realizing no matter what we have materially, educationally, professionally, or otherwise, if we don't have ourselves and we don't have each other and we don't have people in other places of the world, we really are very, very, very poor. And it's showing us that all the selfishness of the material wealth we have collected, all of it can go just like that. The only thing that's left is people. And we have to learn to be still and to feel, what we are feeling. And to hopefully when this is over, go out there and try to look at the world in a different way. For me, Fat Mary's telling me to continue to be who I am and to try to just almost not be appreciative, so to speak, of this time, but to count it as a blessing in disguise that I really am understanding. I think once again, like I have so many times, that love of self, love of humanity, love of human nature, love of the universe, that is what is important. And I get lots of comfort from that in spite of the kind of like universal grief I'm feeling right now. People are dying all over. I don't know them, but I feel them. I feel their pain and I'm with them. And I just feel that connectedness to humanity.
Do you have people that take care of you during this time?
Like around me?
Yeah.
I'm living alone, which for the most part I really like. I was married for I was married for 35 years. And my whole story about my whole life, as you know, is in my 3 books, and how everything went and how everything ended. And I have friends in the community here. I live in Delray Beach, Florida. And the only thing that kind of I feel that just put Delray Beach on the world map is, what's her name, Gaff, who plays Coco Gaff, who is the great big tennis sensation, who played in Wimbledon and is only 17 or 15 or all. And she's a huge tennis player. And Williams sisters, Serena and Venus, they all practice here in Delray Beach, Florida. It's a little town just about 50 miles north of Miami on the East Coast. So this is where I am. And I have lots of friends in the community. I have friends who check on me. I live in a condo. I'm on the 10th floor. And, it's 55 and older. So we're the most vulnerable.
Oh, wow.
But I must say that people are taking care of each other, and we have lots of precautions we're taking. So I feel pretty safe. And I know I have someone I can call in case of something. I have a good doctor. I have just, when you ask me if I have someone here to take care of me, if I have what I need, I always feel embarrassed almost to say that I have really everything I need. And where I'm talking to you, I'm sitting on my recliner, and I have the view of the ocean in front of me. And I am
That's beautiful.
Looking at the ocean. Yeah, and I'm looking at the sky. But, because of my childhood and because of who I am, I can't help but wish that the whole world was right here sitting and seeing what I was seeing and having everything I'm having. But I know there are many who are alone, who are suffering, who have nothing. And it's almost impossible to truly, fully, 100% feel special in all of this when you know there's so many in humanity who are out there who are really suffering. So what I can do is just love them and tell them, at this distance, I am with them and I feel them. And there's nothing more I can do at this moment but just be who I am.
I really feel your heart. You have a huge heart. So what do you do? Like, what's your everyday routine? I know that you were a dance instructor and you taught aerobic and African dance. Do you still dance in your apartment? What do you do every day?
It's tough. You mean what do I do now during the quarantine? You mean during staying in now?
I would like to see you dancing.
So, it would be fun to dance with you. Nothing all that much has changed for me. And again, I go back to having had the experience of being alone and living alone and loving being alone and loving myself and solving pretty much for the most part, most of my, at least psychological and emotional problems by myself. We are not used to, I was not brought up when something is wrong to go out and seek for help. I was brought up when something is wrong because of my circumstances to go inside and look within me and see what do I have that will help me. My life is still it's more or less the same. I get up in the morning, I'll have a cup of coffee, and then I go out for a walk. Again, that's where my blessing is. I'm in Florida. The weather is good. I walk, the beaches are closed, but we have wonderful path and a boardwalk along the ocean. And I walk where it is permitted. And I just see the vastness of the sky, and you see the ocean, and you just feel like a little grain of sand, walking around and feeling so blessed to be alive and well. And I come home, I have my breakfast, I read. I have lots of projects that I am doing, and I don't want to go into all of them. A lot of them, I have a huge collection of African art, and I gave away lots of them to Alex Haley Farm, which is for the Children's Defense Fund. I'm working on a catalog for that, doing a catalog for all the artists over there. I call on my friends, my children and my grandkids. I read. But to tell you, for the most part, I'm using a lot of time just being, just sitting and just being and feeling and being aware and feeling so blessed to be given this time to know myself even more and to appreciate who I am and everything around me and everything that is, that is given to me. And then every other day I dance. I have my music, I choreographed all of this, these many classes that I taught for years and years, and I've trained instructors. So I put on, my condo, of course, I try not to make too much racket, but I put on my music and I dance like a mad woman. If somebody just heard me, they would just say, there's a woman up there who is crazy, because I pretend I'm teaching, because anytime I could be called to go and give a class, at a fitness studio or at a fitness convention or wherever. And so I have to be ready to go and give a 1-hour class, an aerobics, African aerobics class. And so I cannot just sit still. So I'm in here, I'm pretending, I'm talking to, like I have a big audience, and I start with my inhale and I jump and I give instructions and I have such a good time. And when I'm finished, I just feel like $1 million. So I do that, but I do that my whole life. No matter where I am, I take time to dance.
Wow. When I grow up, I want to be you. You're amazing. Wow. You're also a great manifester. So you talked to Fat Marie and you were like, I want a mom. I want to have a mom. And eventually you had a mom or a mom figure. Can you share a bit about that?
Yes. I used to pray so much. In the book 1 starts with, actually the first line of book 1 and the first chapter. The title is called, Where is My Mother? So I've always wanted my mother, and we were told if we prayed really hard, if baby Jesus, being Catholic, would give us whatever we wanted. And the book starts with me telling baby Jesus, I've been asking you for so long, you still cannot find my mother. Where is my mother? And baby Jesus says to me, you will find your mother one day. So I asked him, how far away is one day? Because I'm not just understanding that. Well, that one day came when I was 19 years old, and I was lucky enough to be in a secondary school that had just been opened by American Maryknoll sisters, also Catholic. Most women in my age were not educated. So again, it is a long story of how come I got to be educated, at least up to the 12th grade. And then I was picked when I started the 9th grade to go to this high school, which was by American sisters, Maryknoll sisters. And they were like night and day from the German nuns that we had at the orphanage. But there was a lay teacher from a small town in Minnesota called Onamia, who decided, one winter she had had enough of winter and the snow and the ice and scraping her car and sliding all over the ice. And she decided, hot Africa, that's what she said, hot Africa, here I come. Because her friend had written, who was in the Peace Corps, a program like the Peace Corps, but it was called Teachers for East Africa, told her that they really needed an English teacher. So she went to Africa. She just picked up and came to Africa and to Tanzania. She happened to be in my high school, and she became my English teacher. Her name at that time was Catherine Murray, and she was my oral English teacher. So she would always have us talk about our stories, about our lives, about our home life, in order to get practice speaking English. There were 4 other girls whom she was preparing for the Cambridge oral exams, where we were a British colony. So we had to talk, orally. And all the others would say, well, my father is a farmer. I have 2 sisters and I have an aunt, and we grow this or this. Someone will say, my father, is a teacher, and this is what one is, a construction worker and all. And then she would come to me and I would say, I have no father, I have no mother. I was born and raised in an orphanage. End of story. And it was the truth. And she couldn't believe it. But somehow, I don't know what she did. She moved mountains, and I don't know what she did. But by the time I was ready to graduate from the 12th grade, she decided to adopt me. The miracle in this whole story is that she was 23 years old and I was 19.
No way.
At 23, she took it on. She decided to adopt this absolutely, I always say, basket case African girl who didn't, to the face of everybody, I didn't know who I was or what I was doing. I was lost. I was alone. But I was 19. She was 23. And she adopted me and brought me to America and gave me the break of my life.
Wow. What was it like to be in America? Like, what was it like to come from Africa to America? It probably was such a culture shock.
Beyond a culture shock. Many Africans who come over here, very often they come from families and they're educated and they have some means, not all the time, but most of the time. But I was just straight from the orphanage and then this boarding school, which was 200 miles away. So I really knew nothing from nothing. So book 2 really tells you what it's like to be an immigrant. It's literally like taking me, someplace from the frying pan and throwing me into a fire and telling me now survive. Everything was different. Everything was very, very, I didn't know anything. I didn't speak English well. I didn't understand many things. And I write all of that in detail in book 2, which is called America's Daughter. I learned how to be a daughter because I've never had a mother. You never think of what it's like to have someone who you have in your mind. You have this image of who a mother is and what they're going to do. And here she is. She's hardly older than your sister. So I had to learn, but I managed right away to think of her as my mother. The age didn't make any difference whatsoever. And she learned to treat me as a daughter, which means to provide for me and to give me all of that. It was very tough learning American customs and American habits and getting used to American foods and seeing an escalator for the first time and not knowing what to do with it. And
oh my God.
Or coming to New York and, seeing this, I was told as soon as in Africa, my American Maryknoll sister said, when you go to America, the first thing when you arrive in New York, the Statue of Liberty will be there to greet you. And of course, in my mind, I have this statue which is greeting me and welcoming me at the airport. So I come to the airport and I'm looking for the Statue of Liberty everywhere. So I'm thinking, the Statue of Liberty doesn't want me.
Bad statue, didn't show up.
Nobody told me it was way up there outside in Ellis Island. I could have seen it from the air. It took me a long time to figure out why I couldn't find why the Statue of Liberty wasn't there for me. And, that to me was more prophetic than I thought, because I really learned one of the toughest things for me those first years, and it still is to some degree, is I had to learn how to be Black. I had to learn how to be a Black American because it was in the 60s. I came in 63. So there was all these civil rights movements and all the problems that went with that in the 60s. Dr. Martin Luther King was assassinated while I was in college. And I found that to many people, I was like there were 2 of us Black people in a college with 2,000. It was a private Catholic college. So we supposedly, and I in particular, because I didn't know the other one well, we were supposed to represent the entire Black race. And I knew nothing about the African Americans, absolutely nothing. We hadn't even been taught anything about the slave trade and all. But people would ask me all sorts of questions. When Dr. Martin Luther King was assassinated, we had discussion in class, I remember, and everybody was talking about different things and they were getting frustrated because there were so many race riots and there was so much going on and people were killing each other. And in frustration, one student turned around to me and said, and I was sitting in the back, turned around and looked up and said, well, what do you people want anyway? We've given you, a head start. We have all these welfare projects. We're doing all of this. She just turned around towards where I was sitting and said, what do you people want anyway? Well, I turned around and was looking around for you people. I didn't know.
Who's you people?
I didn't see anybody behind me. So I turned back and all the eyes in the classroom were on me. So I realized I was you people. And I knew nothing about nothing. And I tell you, at that moment, I felt the weight of race, of prejudice, of being the other, of being you people.
Yeah, being Israeli, being Jewish. I see a lot of anti-Semitism. I mean, I live in a country where our neighbors don't love us and kind of want to destroy us on a daily basis. And even now with the coronavirus that came out of China, there are like anti-Semitic groups that are now pointing fingers at the Jews. I'm like, what, why? Why? It's
why?
Coming, how even? Like the Jews invented this or what? When like in Israel where we everybody's suffering just as much as they are in LA. I mean, suffering is And we're not in a third world country and everybody has food and water and whatever they need, but everybody's in quarantine and we're taking all the same measures of gloves and masks and everything. But racism and anti-Semitism is such a cancer, and I don't understand why people do that. It is crazy.
It is completely crazy. And I have a little hope that with this coronavirus, seeing that it absolutely affects every single person, regardless of rank or color or creed or country.
It does.
Hopefully, one of the good things, the positive thing that might come out of this, we can, at least most of us, I know some of us won't, most of us can really see how we are all one no matter what. We all suffer the same way. We all lose loved ones the same way. We grieve the same way. I'm just hoping there'll be a different order. We will look at life, we would look at people, we would look at culture a little bit differently. Because for once, we are in this. I think it is obvious to everyone that we are in this together. Too bad it's taken something so terrible for us to see the truth.
Oh, wow. Maria, what are your 3 top tips to living a stellar life?
I'm always scared when people ask me that because I don't really think I have.
Well, they don't have to be your best tips, but whatever is coming to mind right now.
Yes, I have always found out that, like I already said, and I always stick with that you truly have to know and to love yourself. That to me was my number one trick to living, to survival. I had to love myself. I had to know that once I had me, I could conquer the world. Because I always say, if you don't love yourself, you really cannot love other people. And I think people don't fully understand what loving yourself is. Loving yourself is just accepting yourself the way you are, and not just judging you, and just being so grateful for your humanity. And so it brings me to the second point, which is to really live a good life. I think you have to have gratitude, because gratitude is for nothing else, for the universe, for the sun, which rises every day for you, whether you know it or not. It's rising, whether you see it or not. It's there. So gratitude. I always feel that another thing is to just realize that whatever we have, it is people that matter. It is people that matter. We have to reach out and share what we have and help as much as we can. Because as I said earlier on, life is people. If you are kind to people, first, you have to know yourself. You have to be so grateful for what you have. And what you have is not only materially, it's that you have yourself, you have your family, you have the universe. We have so much that's given to us that we forget to even look at. And our material things are also a given. We appreciate those too, but we have to put them in proportion with some of the bigger things that are given us. Again, I think just love yourself. Be very, very grateful for what you have and for who you are. And then just realize that we are all one, and we have to reach out and give what we have and take what we need from humanity.
Thank you, Maria. This was one of my favorite conversations.
Thank you so much, too.
You are such a joy. You're amazing, and you were very inspiring. And I really appreciate the person that you are and how you show up in the world, and you share so much light with people. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for sharing a little bit about you and your heritage and all. I think that's another reason it's so nice to talk with you, because I think we are in the same wavelength. It always takes one to know one.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Maria.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, listener. Remember to know, love, and accept yourself just the way you are. Live in gratitude. Be kind to yourself and to others, and share yourself and share what you have with others, and have a stellar life. This is Orion. Till next time. Thank you for joining me on my mission to light people up and change lives around the world. I hope today's conversation inspires you to step up, go after the life of your dreams, and be who you want to be. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to go to stellarlifepodcast.com for show notes, transcripts, and other cool stuff. And please subscribe, review, and help spread the word by sharing us on Facebook and Twitter. Have a lovely day, and I'll catch you on the next episode.